Hey! So people's been asking us to do the diesel deuce for 27 years, and the reason I haven't messed with it is because what, Lonnie? What'd you do?
Want to.
Yeah, we didn't want to. We didn't have time. But we got a four-wheel drive four-wheeler donated from a subscriber, and we thank him a lot. And it was for Lonnie. It's deuce.
It's still for Lonnie.
Yeah, it's still for Lonnie, but
we're swapping deuces. Long story short, this is mine now.
yeah, minus the diesel.
Minus the diesel, yeah.
So basically, we already got the front end done. I need to weld the spindle bolts, but the steering's done. Other than tie rods need to be made, but everything's mounted. Brakes are mounted. We got a little dashboard in it that I think he's going to probably keep. Just put different gauges in it because those are very expensive gauges. And we're going to take the diesel. Yeah, you don't need the boost gauge. So the reason why I want to do this is because I think this would be much better four-wheel drive, being a diesel, because this is going to be a crawler. So if it's a crawler, why not have it four-wheel drive to really go in the mud and the muck?
Exactly.
So, and we won't, in the new setup, we won't have to do this whole rigmarole the way I'm going to do it.
Part two reason of doing this is closer to being done, and we're wanting me to have a fully done deuce for the meetup. Yeah,
so he'll be at Turkey Bay. You can go to rbgcars.com/event to find out where we're going to be at and where you can come hang out. So Lonnie's basically getting this. This is an open diff off of a Easy Go. We do have to re-gear it, but that's no big deal. We already got the pucks made for Miata axles. So this is a sick setup for Lonnie because we can literally mount a 670 over top of this differential in this area here and then put Lonnie's seats in it, the bucket razor seats, the wheels, and then Lonnie will have a sick independent suspension deuce.
That won't beat me to death this time.
Yeah, because if I change this to four-wheel drive, I'm redoing everything up there. And I'm like, why would I do that when, and I really wanted this four-wheel drive. We didn't have the four-wheeler when we started this build. Now we got the whole the transplant ready to go. We got it all pulled apart. So Lonnie is going to be, and I'll help him some, not much though. He's going to be stripping this down. Got to get this bench seat because I'm going to keep that for mine. Taking off the radiator, basically stripping all this stuff down so we can mount the 670 on it. And that's our goal, is to get it disassembled, mount the 670, and build the rear A-arms. So
we got a lot to do.
Let's do it, player. Guys, we're going to take a real quick break from today's video to talk about the sponsor, and that is Blaster. Blaster has a ton of products that's going to help you out in your garage, make life easier and make your projects last longer, especially engine degreaser. This will get oil and grease buildup, even salt debris off of your engine. And we're going to go outside. We're going to clean up a dirty engine. All you do is hose her down, shake the can really well before you shake that puppy. Just shake it. And spray the engine down. It'll foam up, and you let it sit there for about 10 minutes. Be patient and let it do its thing, and then just wash it away with water. You can use a wire brush with it, but this stuff works amazing at cleaning your engine, so you can look like you got the best stuff on the block. So let's go clean an engine. We have a Honda transmission here, and it's got a ton of buildup. This is going to be used for one of our projects in the future. So I'm going to hose the transmission down with the engine degreaser, and then I'm going to agitate it with a wire brush. You're supposed to leave it like 10 minutes for best results. We're not going to do that. We're just going to hose it down, scrape it real good, and then wash it off. So let's see how good this stuff will work. You can see the buildup is pretty crazy. This thing had about 150, 200,000 miles when taken out of the car. And we're just going to clean it up to get it put on a pallet outside. And this stuff is baked on all this grease and oil. I'm using a brass wire brush, so it's not going to be too rough on the transmission. This stuff is thick on here. So with just that little bit of brushing, that's all we're going to do. Just see how good it comes off. That little bit of scraping. You can see it's already, and we didn't leave this for no time, maybe a minute, and it's already coming quite a bit cleaner than it was before. If we had left it for 10 minutes and really did a scrub job on it, it would have looked way better. You can see we can already start seeing the aluminum. So Blaster engine degreaser does work. This is just a really quick demonstration, so make sure to check it out in the video's links and support your boy and support Blaster. Okay, moment of truth.
You do look
Well,
like.
we just need to get tension on it. It's like we're moving. Oh shoot! Wait,
It's
we are
there.
hitting it. No, we're hitting it.
Yeah, it's there.
Is that good?
Yeesh.
Last time we didn't have the radiator mounts in the back.
Make any excuse you want. It's gonna go. It's good.
We're clearing everything clear. That's it. Got me. Watch the turbo.
Blah!
Boing.
So there we go. You're hitting this.
I know.
Did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Okay, right there. You got too much stuff in the way. Getting phone calls from your freaking mom. All right. Hold the engine from slinging all over the place. It's gonna drop. Yeah.
I got you.
Watch yourself and roll that way.
Oh, I'm going this
Grab
way.
that camera. So
Maneuverability's not the best.
not in this cramped space that we're working with. So if you guys are in the market for any kind of lifts, bin pack. Oh! Randy, we push that out. Bin pack is the way to go, folks. So we still got to take out that cradle that's down there. But
I gotta get out of the sun. It's messing with it.
Lonnie, you're such a baby.
I'm sorry.
Such a freaking baby. But yeah,
No.
that's a baby little piece.
It is,
thing.
but you want to lift for it. That's for sure. There's a lot of weight
Yeah,
there.
It's all cast iron. So last thing we got to do is this is off the original mower. So my plan was this is just tacked really good. It's cool because it's got a freaking, that's a 3/16 skid plate for the oil pan. 3/16 thick.
You ain't hitting the oil pan.
Well, yeah, no, it ain't gonna get in contact with that. So I want to keep that because we're doing another deuce. So with that, just a 4-wheel drive one. So we'll completely start over, which is real cool.
This one's only been sitting for a year,
For
so
a year,
starting
yeah.
over is no big deal.
No problem at all because we love starting them. We love starting the projects.
Finishing them, nah.
You watch your mouth.
Hey, we've got some finished projects around here.
Oh boy.
Aubrey's.
That's true. That's one. We got a bunch of mini bikes that came pre-finished.
That's true, but
Right.
we did grind on them.
That's true. But we didn't repaint where we grinded though.
Exactly. But I mean, one finished project in 8 years ain't bad.
No, that's good numbers for anybody, in my opinion. Okay, so we'll get that mount taken off, and then we can start figuring out where our 670 has to be, and we're going to use that engine lift again with the 670.
So we're setting that
On the floor, where it's freaking fates.
where everything gets set.
Yeah, everything is everywhere. All right, so we'll get back to you in a minute.
When we gonna build you a bigger garage? Cause you already need it.
Soon. Well, not soon. We got to build a house next. I'm homeless, so.
You're not homeless.
Nah, I got
You're
this
houseless.
house. I'm houseless, yeah. I'm apartment full.
Attached to your garage.
Attached to the ground,
All right, let's
All right.
get to continuing this.
All right, we'll see, boys. Okay, so apparently the engine is not going to set all the way down on the floor like we had hoped. So we're going to go with plan B, and that is put a crossbar from side of the chassis to side of the chassis, and I can actually use this and just trim it down. This is one of the radiator mounts for the diesel engine that was in here. So I can notch this a little bit shorter, looks like about 1/2 inch, and then put this crossbar up here. Then I can just run 2 runners front to back, and the engine will set just over top of this differential, kind of forward a little bit. And so it'll be a lot like the boosted 670 buggy. What we can do down there to offset some weight is build a fuel cell, or we could house the battery. We're gonna have a car size battery on this just to have a ton of amperage and any accessory you'd ever want on this thing. This is unfortunate because we wanted to basically have where we could use his rack because we already got everything set up, but it's just not going to fit. You also got to think this engine, being a V-twin, V's forward towards the seats as well as the alternators on that side. So it's never going to work out unless we put it kind of sitting in this area, and I would go even lower with it. But we have to also worry about removing the diff. The diff has to come up about 4 inches to get out of there. So I think the engine's sitting about right here. It's not what we wanted, but I think for fitment, that's what we're gonna have to do. So I'm gonna do some notching and get some tubes ready to tack weld in here. Okay, so I got this plate clamped flush with the bottom of these runners. These runners aren't tacked yet, so I can tack this plate to these and then move it as a unit side to side to get the belt lined up. So that's what I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna push this in as tight as I can get it, these 2 sides in, and then do, 4 or 5 tacks on each side, and then we can set the engine on, slide this whole unit over until our belt's lined up, and then we can tack these runners in place. All right, so I set the engine in there, and I don't like how high it is. It's super high in the frame. So I think I'm gonna cut it all out, and which everything's just tacked and these bars aren't even tacked. And what I'm gonna do is put a crossbar from side to side just above this diff, but I do have to leave room because this diff has to come up about 1.5 inches for these axle tube, these flanges we machined to clear the bracket. So if we ever need to remove the diff. So I'm gonna put a crossbar there, and I'm gonna take this bar out here and drop it down to these stubs that we cut off before. Okay, so that placement is way better. You can see it hovering just over the diff, and we should still be able to get that diff out with no problems by rocking the back up. I did go ahead and bolt on, a while back, Dave had made, before I was using my lathe, Dave made these adapters for this Easy Go diff. So this is not my prime choice of differential because it's a open diff, but it'll do Lonnie perfect. I think it'll do awesome, and we got to re-gear it because it's at a 12 to 1 now. We're going to gear it at an 8 to 1. But you can see Dave made these plates that are recessed for the axles. They have a little lip, so once they're bolted up, they're completely flat. I just have it laid on a jack stand to see my width. Now, at this particular setup right now, that's the wheel actually bolted on the hub up there. We got decent kingpin angle. I would like a little bit more kingpin angle on the front, but we'll go over that on a later episode. You can see our tires good and straight though. We don't have any camber on it or anything. But the next thing is we got to start building rear A-arms. Now, the only downside to using this differential with A-arms instead of trailing arms is the fact that this pulley's in the way for an upper A-arm. So we got a couple different ways we can go about this. We can do a very wide stance A-arm down bottom, you know, just to get like I did on the supercharged buggy, and do a smaller setup on top, like a single arm that comes over, because your upper arm really, if your shock's not attached to it, is really just a guide arm. So that's probably what we'll do, is a single arm that just hooks to this area right in here, and do a wide lower A-arm, because we are going to do A-arms on this chassis. Got a little bit done. We actually had a belt in stock that worked perfect. I might go with a little bit shorter belt to get the engine back a little bit further, because we got to get the seats mounted next to get away from this alternator. And then I'm going to cut down this bracket. It doesn't need to be that long. I mean, the V-belt will stretch a little bit over time, but we're never going to utilize all that adjustment, and it's sticking out quite a bit. So we'll cut that and get that cut down the size. So we'll proceed on. So guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys aren't mad about the diesel project. It got put on hold back when we did the SEMA project. That's when we started the diesel project, and SEMA came along, and then it got pushed to the side. And if you've ever had a bunch of projects in your shop, you know how that happens. It gets pushed to the back burner, and it's very hard to get it back to the front line to start working again. So we thought this was the best opportunity to give Lonnie a better deuce, and it would cut down the work we're doing on his poor man side-by-side, because you've already seen us build this front end. You don't need to see us build it twice, and this was the best setup to give him that deuce and start over, because awesome subscriber had given us a Polaris four-wheeler, and I don't know if he wants to be mentioned on video, so I'm going to respect his privacy for now. But he gave us an awesome four-wheeler. We drove up to Kentucky to get it from him, and then Lonnie was like, I really don't care for mine to be two-wheel drive. I think we should use the four-wheel drive on the diesel setup, and that worked for me. So the diesel's already not going to be fast, so why not make it a four-wheel drive crawler and start over on Lonnie's chassis since it's brand new. You know, nothing's been modified yet. We'll get it sandblasted. We'll build, we'll start mounting the diffs and everything on it, mounting the seats, and then start over with double A-arm fronts and either trailing arm or double A-arm rear suspension on it. But we have a meetup coming up in the springtime. We haven't planned it just yet, but that's what we're trying to get Lonnie to be at with his deuce, is a spring meetup. So guys, be patient. We're working on a ton of projects. We got the Yamaha build that we're about to finish the front end on, and then do a bunch of brackets and stuff on it, and then it'll be done. We're working on Lonnie's at the same time, and we're trying to get fast content out for you guys, so you're not bored in the meantime when we're making the videos that take a ton of time, like stuff on this. So we hope you'll stick around to see these things finished up. And we thank you so much for supporting us. We thank Blaster for supporting this video and sponsoring today's video. We truly stand behind all the Blaster products. We've been using them in the shop for several years now, and I've been using the standard PB Blaster since I was a kid. I remember my dad always had PB Blaster in his shop, and that's what you use to get rust off of bolts and get some real stubborn bolts unstuck. And it's been working since I was a kid, and it's awesome to have them as a partner in the shop. So massive shout out to Blaster. Make sure to check out the links in the video description for their products and support them when you can, because it helps support us. Thank you guys so much for watching. We love you, and God bless.